All right. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, happy to.
We appreciate you spending some time with us after an exciting announcement for you as it relates to your 2022 racing plan. So before we get started with questions, just tell us a little bit of how it feels to get that news out there.
Yeah, it's first of all, I'm very thankful. There's so many moving parts and pieces inside of our sport all the time that we're all involved in, we all hear of, and we all see. But every year this time, it seems like the last 3 years that I've been in that situation, and to get that phone call from Chris Rice and Matt Colleague was one that first of all I didn't expect, and number two was one that I knew I couldn't not take advantage of. So yeah, it's good to get it out there. Good to know that I'll be moving over to a team where I'll have many opportunities to race for wins and race for a championship, and also lets me focus on the task at hand here over the next 6 weeks, and know that we have a lot of opportunity in front of us with this Joe Gibbs Racing team and everyone on this 18 team to go check the box that we ultimately set the year off to do. But for sure, good to get it out there.
All right. We're now going to poll for questions. If you have a question for Daniel, feel free to raise your hand within the Zoom platform. We'll get to as many questions as we can within our time with him. And to kick us off, we're going to start with Daniel McFadden. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hey, Daniel. How's it going?
Good, man. How yourself?
So I'm good. So, I mean, you just mentioned you've been in this position many times over the last few years. So at this rate, does it become kind of tiring for you to be in this position constantly, it seems like?
It can be as tiring as you allow it to be. My opinion is my whole life has kind of been this way. Not the, you never know what's in front of you. You never know what you're going to be faced with. All you can do is show up. And if you show up and continue to grind it out, opportunities will be there. I've said that since I was 10 years old. I mean, it's just this a scenario that it is. And I try to, play the cards that I'm dealt. And yeah, I mean, you can envy others that have their deals locked in or have long-term deals or know what their plans are moving forward. But at the end of the day, that's not the way it was. So you try to make the most of the situation. And I feel like this is me making the most of that situation.
Given like all the organizations you've raced for, and it's just the last 6 years or so, all the different manufacturers, how valuable do you see yourself being, given you have all this data from all these different teams that you can now take to colleague racing? You can now walk into colleague racing with the freshest information from Joe Gibbs Racing at your disposal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? I mean, you can go into it thinking, oh, these guys do this or this other team did that, but every race team is its own culture that you got to learn how to conform to and transition into. I've tried to be even better about that, as I've gotten older and learn how different each situation is and respect that each situation is different. And because of that, you try to be so open-minded when you go into a new situation, but you can't unlearn things that you've learned throughout other organizations as well. For me, I think whether it was for RCR or Brad Keselowski or whoever it was that I've driven for and whatever manufacturer in the past, they've all given me their best. They've all did everything they could to help, move me forward as a driver, move our race teams forward to be the best we could be. And because of everyone being all in, I feel like, it's allowed me to build relationships throughout all the manufacturers, build relationships throughout all the different teams. And in a roundabout way, you just continue to make myself better. And you got to be versatile, right? You got to be able to go these different places and jump in and make speed and create finishes quickly. And I've been fortunate to do that.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right. Our next question is going to come from Dustin Albino. Go ahead, Dustin.
Hey, Daniel, how are you?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Good. So how we know what colleague racing has become over the last 6 years, but how tough of a decision was it ultimately to leave JGR?
Oh, it's tough, man. Nobody ever wants to, make a decision to have to go a different direction. And I've talked about, since 2019, I've kind of been on this rebuild process, trying to find that home, trying to do the right things to hopefully open up a long-term possibility or opportunity somewhere. That's nothing saying that this is going to be that, but, when the opportunity came up from colleague, knowing their vision, knowing where they want to be 3 years, 5 years down the road, I can honestly say that I want to be a part of that. I believe in their vision. I believe in where they want to go. and kind of answering your question backwards here, at JGR, I mean, they're full of incredibly talented Xfinity drivers and teams, as well as on the Cup side. I've made it known that if the opportunity is there and it's right and it's competitive, that I would like to get back to that Cup level. On the flip side of it, there's got to be room for that growth, and there is that at Colleague.
And how much have you worked with Colleague in the past, being 2 years at RCR?
Yeah, it's a great question. I remember Matt Colleague. Obviously, I didn't know him when he was just a sponsor in the sport, but as soon as he became a team owner, right, they were affiliated with RCR. So they're part of our debriefs when Blake Cook was driving. Chris Rice was a part of those meetings. And with him being such an integral part and pushing this Colleague team in the correct directions with their partnership with RCR, yeah, I feel like I was heavily just as involved as you could be with them without being, in one of their race cars. A lot of people don't know, Matt Colleague and we don't know each other great, but he's joked around many years ago about, man, when are you gonna come drive my cars? And I never would have thought it actually worked out, but it's working out, and that's what we're going to do in 2022.
Cool. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, our next question is going to come from Bob Pockers. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, Daniel, I don't know if there are secrets to what Colleague's doing at Talladega and Daytona, but how do you beat them?
I join them. I don't know. I've witnessed and seen the same thing as everybody else, and you know what they're going to do. And let me back up. We all have plans, and we all want to execute, and we all have strength in numbers. I mean, JGR has just as many, if not more, cars than Colleague does, yet they go there and execute their plan and work so well together and always have a shot to win those things. And I can't sit here and give you a definite as to why that is. But I'll tell you what's interesting is, the last super speedway race we ran, we got damaged early. After we came back from the rain delay the following day, we got damaged early. And so we never were able to utilize our teammates much throughout that race. We're always fixing the car, trying to make it a little bit better and make a surge at the end of the stages to get points. My point is that when it came down to the end of the race, there weren't many teammates there. I was coming from the back and latched onto the back of the 11 car, and the way the lanes worked, I ended up being tucked up behind Justin Haley and pushing him to the win. And obviously I didn't know exactly how all this was going to come full circle, but somehow they always find a way to position themselves. And I promise you, every team this week, Colleague Racing has been in everybody's team meetings this week. Everybody's brought them up, trying to figure out why or how they can pull it off. But at the end of the day, whatever they got going on there is pretty incredible to see how they work together. We try to replicate it, and nobody's going to do it yet.
Thank you.
Yep.
Our next question is going to come from Chris Estrada. Go ahead, Chris.
Sorry about that. Thank Daniel. Thanks for joining us. Obviously, you want to get that first win under your belt, but you've made the championship four twice already, and you've been inside the top four, top five in points basically all season long here. So how much do you think your consistency, especially in regards to how it plays in the postseason, how much do you think that put you on the radar for this new opportunity with Colleague in 2022?
I don't think it hurt me. That's for sure. I feel like, through the conversations with myself and Chris Rice, through the process of putting this deal together, he just reaffirmed me how much, not only what he sees, I'm always in the mix, but how he feels like he can help propel me to that next level, not only now, but moving into the future. And, to have somebody have that much confidence in you is special, first off. And secondly, I can't sit here and say that, being a contender year in and year out, no matter what the race team, no matter what the situation, could not have hurt my chances of getting that phone call. Right. So I do think there was relationships, back my very first year in a NASCAR vehicle of any form was a truck for NTS Motorsports back in 2015. And I'm not sure if people put two and two together, but Chris Rice ran that program back then. So he's seen me then, he's seen me grow, he's seen me change, develop into who I am today. And I think because of that, keeping that relationship is also I'm also a firm believer as to why I got that phone call.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to go back to Daniel McFadden for a follow-up question. Go ahead, Daniel.
So Daniel, with your goal of getting back to Cup, how much was your decision to go to Colleague based on the fact that they're going up to Cup racing now and they'll have two cars there for, at least the foreseeable future?
Yeah, in my mind, nothing's a given, right? I mean, you got to go put the work in. You got to go show you're worthy of those opportunities. I mean, honestly, right? No different than Justin Haley and AJ Allmendinger have done. They've earned opportunities to drive those Cup cars. But that's not to say that situation is going to be the same for me, right? But the good thing is I know, like I said, their plan and their vision and where they want to be. I know if I go do my job, that the best thing I can do is try to force their hand into wanting to make me that guy, right? You want to perform to a point where every race team can't not have you. And I'm thankful to know that Matt Colley and Chris Rice believe in me enough to go and do that. But, the talking part's the easy part. You got to go put the work in and get the job done. And that's my goal. And if it transitions to that, the good thing is to know that there's growth there. And that's all you can ask for is opportunity. And I have that.
So in your conversations with them, like, did they voice what they viewed as being your best attribute for colleague racing at this moment?
Yes. Obviously those conversations get pretty deep and pretty emotional, to be honest with you. I mean, we're not talking about just driving race cars, right? We're affecting people's lives, people's families, how you feed your family on all parts, right? I mean, those conversations get pretty heavy. Through that process, since 2019 in particular, I've had to always constantly worry about what was next. I've had to constantly worry about, was there funding? Was there not? Do I have sponsorship? If I can acquire any, what are the opportunities to go race and where at? They ultimately felt like if they could offer me a job and let me focus on racing, let me focus on driving the race car, getting the most out of myself, not worrying about the funding, not worrying about that side of it. Obviously, you got to keep your partners and everyone involved at no matter what organization you're part of happy, and you got to do that side, which is part of it, which we all work for. But having to physically yourself had to figure out the dollars, I ain't got to worry about that, which makes this very, very exciting.
So like, what is your sponsor situation for next year? Can you say?
No, all I can say is Matt Colley and Chris Rice told me to go drive the race car.
Okay.
I said, okay, put my name above the door. I'll be there.
All right. Thanks.
Yep.
All right. Any final questions for Daniel? All right, Daniel, that appears to be all the questions. Thank you again for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We wish you best of luck this weekend in Talladega. And once again, best of luck next season as well.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having me. Thanks for making the time, and see you soon.